What's up guys, Readiness Reviews, back with you again. We'll be checking out some militaria today. As most of you who watch my channel probably know, I have a firearms collection that I've been working on for quite a while, and I'm constantly trying to add to it. It's not a very impressive collection yet, but I hope that one day it is. And ideally, I'm collecting a firearm from each country that was involved in the World Wars, and I really like Mausers in general, so I also want to collect as many different types of Mausers as possible. To accompany my firearms collection, I would also ideally have the slings and the bayonets along with a cleaning rod for all of those rifles. One of the categories that my collection is severely lacking in at the moment is bayonets. I do not have very many bayonets at all, so I've been trying to preemptively pick up some bayonets recently, even some for guns that I don't have that maybe I will have one day in the future. So we're going to check out a couple of my newest bayonet acquisitions, and I'll just talk about what I know about the bayonets a little bit. I'm by no means a bayonet expert. I'm actually pretty ignorant to the whole subject. Of course, I love them. I think they're super cool and they're awesome pieces of history in their own right. There's people that are experts and have books on them, and their sole collecting purpose is to collect bayonets, and those people will know way more about these than I do, but I do know a little bit, and I figured I would share some of that information with you all today. So at a recent gun show, I picked this one up. This is a Turkish M1 Garand Bayonet. It has some very cool markings on the sheath here, or scabbard, depending on who you talk to. It has a MKE mark, and then it has a moon with a star for Turkey. I actually dug this out of a barrel of these bayonets, sheaths and bayonets, and the guy told me I could have my pick of whatever I wanted. So I went through them and found the most select condition one that I could find. On a lot of these, you'll find that the back part of the sheath here is broken off. Sometimes they'll have very crude welds on them, and you can tell where they attempted to put them back together. This one has very clean, fresh welds out of the factory, so it hasn't really been messed with too much. Well, let's pull it out of the sheath there and check the blade out. It's not a perfect condition bayonet, but none of these Turkish M1 Grand Bayonets are really. It's mostly unsharpened. It's got a slight taper to the edge, and it has a swedge on the top. It does fit my US M1 Grand that I have. There's our serial number on it, if that means anything to anybody. The handle scales are metal, aluminum, I do believe, and it has quite a bit of heft to it. The balance point is in the grip, which makes for quick blade movements. These used to be a dime a dozen, but they're going up in price at all times. That goes for every bayonet that I'll be displaying, though. All these used to be super cheap and are now getting more and more progressively expensive as time goes on. It's that way with all sorts of militaria. It's always getting more expensive. The second bayonet we'll take a look at is also a Turkish bayonet. However, this is a Turkish Mauser bayonet. There are no markings on the sheath or scabbard. There's the blade, there is a serial number, and the only other marking that I've been able to find on this is right here on the pommel, and that is an AS. This is a bayonet designed for the model 1935 Turkish Mauser. I unfortunately do not have that Turkish Mauser. I do have a Turkish Mauser, but this bayonet does not fit it. I picked this one up on eBay, and I probably paid a little bit too much for it. It was also right around the $30 range, and these are traditionally very inexpensive bayonets because they don't have any cool markings, and they're not particularly rare, and there was a ton of them made, but it's still pretty cool, and I didn't have a standard Turkish Mauser bayonet in my collection yet, so I picked this one up. It is completely unsharpened, blunt. You can tell it's in pretty rough shape, but I've seen much worse. It does have wooden handle scales, and they're not cracked or damaged too badly in any way. Over the holidays, Centerfire Systems, who is a online retailer for firearm stuff and military surplus stuff, they had a blowout sale on bayonets. So I figured we'd go ahead and open these boxes up on cam and see what exactly I got from them. We'll start with a little box first, and we'll see if we can open that with our M1 Garand bayonet. Kind of tough to cut through that tape when the blade is pretty much blunt. So of course, since I'm opening these right now, this will be my first time seeing them, so we can check them out together. We have some paper packaging in here, and there's our little stash of bayonets in the bottom of the box. First off here, we have a FAL bayonet. I'm not sure what the country of origin is on this particular FAL bayonet. Of course, you know, FALs were used by several countries and made in several countries. It's a very crude, tubular style piece of metal with a very simple pointed end. It's not really much of a blade at all. It is just made for poking shaping. It does have a tapered front to give it a little bit of a point. One side is domed out and the other side is completely flat. I suppose you could use this as a makeshift knife if you wanted to, but that's really not what it's designed for. And this just fits over the muzzle of a FAL. There's our serial number on that. That did come with a pretty nice scabbard. It's got a plastic sheath and then it has a pretty heavy duty canvas frog. These bayonets were made for mass production. They really didn't put that much time or money into each one of them. But I didn't have one for my collection yet, so I figured I might as well add an FAL bayonet. The sheath does have a nice little drainage hole just in case you get it wet. The water will flow through. That's pretty cool. All three of these bayonets were on sale for $17 and change. Of these three bayonets, this is probably the coolest one. This is a VZ58 bayonet from Czechoslovakia. It has a nice leather sheath on it that is pretty cool because the belt loop is at an angle, so it sits on your belt. At an angle like this, it's easier to draw and is not so much in the way as one that's standing straight up. Has a leather attachment method there. This leather sheath is in pretty good shape, actually. It's not the most beautiful, but the stitching is looking very good, and it's not stained or moldy, which you'll see with a lot of this old web gear. The bayonet itself is fairly lightweight. It's a knife-style bayonet, also unsharpened. The handle material is sort of a composite material, the same sort of material that the furniture on the VZ58 is made out of. I've heard it referred to as Bakelite, but I don't know that it's exactly Bakelite. It does appear to have a full tang, so I would expect it to be a fairly strong knife, and the blade stock is fairly thick as well, so it's very nice quality knife on this, actually. Unfortunately, I don't have a VZ58 to put it on, but that's one of the rifles that I do have on my wish list. We have a couple little serial numbers on this. There's the serial number on the blade, and then there's also a serial number right above the guard. It's a blackened finish, sort of like a parkerization. There's no really visible rust on this or anything. The blade is in really nice shape. I'm very happy about this one because it was also just over $17. Some of you will already know what this one is just by the outline of it. It came in some packing material. We'll get this off. Some tape in a plastic bag. This one has a little bit of cosmoline on it. This is a British Enfield bayonet. It's a bayonet for the No. 4 Mark I Enfield that was used in World War II. It has a very simple sheath on it. No visible markings on that sheath. And this bayonet was designed for just straight poking. It is a spike only. There's actual blade versions of the No. 4 Mark I bayonet. There's several different versions of the No. 4 Mark I bayonet, actually. This is the most common, though, just the standard spike style. I'd say that that spike is probably somewhere between 8 and 10 inches long. You definitely won't want to get poked with it. It is not a utility item, though. You're not really going to do too much with this other than just poke people. This attaches on the barrel of the rifle. This ring goes over the muzzle and locks into place. That does have a painted number on it, 228. You can get these pretty much all day long for about $10, but they usually don't come with the little sheath. So I figure for the combo of the sheath and the bayonet itself for right around $17, that is not too bad these days. And then I have another box that was also from the same sale with Centerfire Systems. I bought it before I bought those other three. We'll try to open this one as well with our M1 Grand Bayonet. The tape was quite tough on that box. Same paper packing material on this. And this one is very dirty looking. Let's get this box out of the way. This might be the coolest bayonet that I have at the moment, besides my French model 1892 bayonet. That's definitely the coolest. This is a pattern 1909 Mauser bayonet. On the Centerfire Systems website, they have these listed as unknown manufacturer, so we're not sure of the country of origin on this. It is packed in a substantial amount of cosmoline and just has general dirt and disgustingness all over the outside. Take a look at the scabbard right fast. So it's a pretty standard Mauser style scabbard. We do have a little stamping on this here. Looks like an FI or FL or even possibly F1. If you know what that is, please let me know. I believe this is a leather wrapping on the sheath itself, and you can see some stitching marks on this where that's stitched on. A lot of this is rubbing off, so the sheath is in definitely disrepair. I'm gonna have to find some kind of way to get this cleaned and help preserve it. There's a dent in it. It's dented in just a little bit, but it looks like it's in pretty good shape. The only thing that I would really be worried about is the condition of this leather wrapping. It does not look like it's doing too good. The bayonet itself is quite long. See if it's sharpened. No, it is also unsharpened, and it has all kinds of crud all over the blade. It has the color, that sort of browny orange color of cosmoline, just preservative grease to keep it from rusting, which I appreciate because it does not appear to be rusted under all that dirt. We'll get it cleaned up and check it out. It has a serial number on it there. They have a really cool quillion. The guard has sort of this swoop on it, and that is meant to aid you in bayonet fighting, actually. So you place this on the muzzle of the gun, and if you're going up against an opponent that also has a bayonet, as you're thrusting towards their bayonet, you can catch it with this and disarm them, supposedly. Now, I don't know how practical that is in combat. Of course, in sword fighting, that was a very common use of a quillion like that. I don't really see that happening on the battlefield, especially on a World War I battlefield, which is where a bayonet like this would have been used. The handle scales are wood, and they look to be in fairly good shape. No major cracks or chips in them or anything. The pommel end does appear to have some rust on it. The spring latch is working well. So that's it, guys. Not very much to this video. I just wanted to share some of my recent bayonet acquisitions with you all and let you know about Centerfire Systems website. This was my first transaction with them and it went very smoothly. They seem to have fairly reasonable prices and they have some very nice sales with free shipping and stuff like that, so they're worth checking out from time to time. If you have a CNR license to order firearms through the mail in the US, they are a CNR retailer, so if you have that license, you can purchase a firearm directly from them and have it shipped straight to your house. However, their stock on that is very low at the moment, and the stuff that they do have is in various states of disrepair and needs a lot of work. But if you want a project gun, their website's worth checking out for that. They also sell regular modern firearms that you can have shipped to a local FFL to do your paperwork on and pick up if you'd rather do it that way. In no way do they sponsor this video. I just thought it'd be cool to share their existence. Thanks for checking out the video, guys. If you noticed anything about any of these bayonets that I did not point out, or you have any information that I didn't talk about, please let me know. I'm very happy to read comments of that nature. My hands are very dirty after unpacking those, so I'm gonna go clean up and then I'm gonna get these bayonets cleaned up. So we'll catch you guys in the next video. See you then. Peace.